Hello there, another video walkthrough of TryHackMe. Now this time we will go through the anonymous room, which is another quite popular room in TryHackMe. It's an old room, many players have solved it. Again, it's more geared towards beginners. Okay, so it's not something fancy or extremely complicated, but it's a good way to learn the basics of pen testing. Now, once more, we will deal with this as a black box pen test, which means no sneak peeks to the room questions or any other material that might hint us towards what way we should take to root this box. Okay, so without further ado, let's ping, I like that expression, let's ping our machine. Okay, so our machine is up and running. Still, we don't know what services it runs, but we can easily find out using Nmap. Alright, let's scan for the most popular ports. Okay, that was quite quick. Alright, so it has discovered some interesting ports. Now, another thing that we will want to run in the background, because we don't know how long it might take, is a full port range scan with Nmap. This might take a while, this might not complete at all, but it also might reveal some unusual ports running some crazy services. I don't know. So let's run it. And in the meantime, since we see quite a few interesting ports here, we can run our standard full scan on these ports. Let's save our results to an nmap.txt here so we can view them at our leisure later. Okay, and all right, we've seen quite a few interesting ports. We saw FTP, SSH, and we also saw Samba. All right, so let's use enum for Linux to scan pretty much everything that we can find in that IP address, and we're going to let it run. And let's open our Sublime text editor. Now the reason I'm opening it with the command line is that I want it to run with root access, okay, so that I can edit any files that I create as root without changing ownership of them over and over. So okay, ignore this one, we'll talk about it later in the privilege escalation sector. We'll need this once we get the initial foothold in the machine, and let's see, our Nmap has completed pretty quickly here, so let's review the results. Okay, we have FTP as a service running. It says here VS FTPD 2.0.8 or later. Okay, it has logged in as FTP. Good. We can see here that the actual version is 3.0.3. Now, if you have any experience or if you've done CDFs or if you've watched some of my previous video, we have come across this version quite often. It's not vulnerable to something that could gain us access to the machine. It's vulnerable to a denial of service attack, but we do not want to bring our machine down. We want to actually gain access to it. So for the time being, I don't know if we'll find some kind of exploit here. Okay, so anonymous FTP login is also allowed, and it is created as, it is showed as, I'm sorry, a directory called scripts, and this right here is very, very interesting. So the default Nmap scan for our services, if it finds FTP open, it checks if one of the directories in there are world writable. All right, the NSE stands for Nmap Scripting Engine. So our default script has found that this one, this script directory is writable, and that's kind of big red flag, because we could actually put files in there, and if we could execute them, then we could upload a reverse shell of any form, and that's something that you'll encounter sometimes. I mean, I remember a time when I think it was in a hacked box machine that there was an open FTP server, and you could write files in there, and the web server actually got files from that same directory and served them. So we could upload something like a reverse shell. I think it was an ASPX reverse shell, because it was a Windows machine that could give us the initial access to the machine. So generally keep in mind that FTP is not only good for downloading various stuff, but you can also upload and try to launch some things sometimes, all right, provided that the right misconfigurations are in place. Okay, we can see here that we have port SSH open. Okay, we can again check with that version, but I don't think we'll find something. Mostly it is used to grant us access here if we have a username and a password, or a username and a private key, something like this. We also have Samba, and we're already running some enumeration there. Okay, so here we have a guest user for Samba. Okay, some interesting stuff here. All right, so let's just get back to our machine, to our command terminal. Atom for Linux is still running. Okay, now let's see here. Let's try and use SMB map at our target and the R flag to see if we can recursively list all the accessible shares here, if we have that ability. Okay, let's let it try. I don't know if we'll have any luck with this. Okay, it's trying a guest session, and good. Well, it has actually listed some things. Okay, so it says here that print and IPC are not accessible, but pigs. This share is accessible. It's a directory for pigs. All right, and all right, Corgo and Papos must be some kind of dogs, corgis maybe. Yeah, maybe the owner of that server has a liking for corgis. Okay, but we can see it's a read only. We cannot actually place anything here. So my guess is that it's purely for, I don't know, demonstrative reasons or something else. So let's leave it at that, and let's get back to it later if we get stuck in any other ways that we can use to compromise that server. So time to enumerate FTP. Okay, it says nameless one's FTP server. That looks a lot like a username here, and if we look at the name of the room here, and considering it's an easy room, okay, we might make the links. So let's log in as anonymous. Let's input a blank password, and we have successfully logged in. Okay, so let's list. We have the scripts directory. Let's dive straight into it, and let's list everything, secret or not. All right, we have 3 files here. We have bash script file, kind of log file, and a to-do file. So let's get them all and inspect them to our machine. Okay, and they seem to download pretty okay. All right, and let's exit for now. Let's clear our screen and let's get here. So let's try this to do. I really need to disable the anonymous login. It's really not safe. You bet it's not. Okay, you should have already disabled it. It's not safe. But let's see what else is in there. Okay, we have this log file, which seems that, all right, running cleanup script, nothing to delete, and it's repeated a bunch of times. So I guess that this has something to do with this clean.sh. Probably it's running a cron job, trying to find files to delete in a directory, and if it doesn't find, it outputs the result in this self-made log file. So let's take a look here. Okay, yeah, it seems that it actually does that. All right, yeah, so it looks for temporary files or something, yeah, and if it doesn't find anything, well, then it deletes it outputs that there's nothing to delete to that log file. But if it finds some files, okay, it echoes timestamp here, okay, and it said I removed this file, and it outputs this to the very same log file. So it seems that so far no files have been found, and that's why all this nothing to delete things have been written here in this log file. Now the interesting thing here, as we mentioned before, is that the scripts directory, all right, let's log in one more time. Okay, we can see that it's world writable, okay, and that might be a big problem for the server owner, because perhaps we can, not perhaps, we can definitely put our own files here, okay, we can definitely upload our files there, and since this plain.sh is probably it's being run by a cron job or by systemd, then we can easily abuse it and replace all this code here with reverse shell, and that could gain us access to the machine. So we're going to use a very cool site, the reverse shell generator. I totally recommend it. There's also a very nice plugin for some browsers. There are also scripts or anything you might think to create reverse shells. Okay, you can see, you can define your IP import here. Okay, you can see if you want a listener or anything here. Okay, we're going to use Pongcat, all right, so it says how you should set up your listener, or NCAT or NCAT-exe. Okay, so Pongcat, you can filter it with operating systems. From the shell, you can choose from a bunch of cells here and codings. It's a really great site, okay, if you want to create reverse shells and set your listeners in the right way to grab them. Okay, but this is a simple box. We're not going to try anything fancy, and generally you should always try the basic stuff before you go into more advanced techniques. So I've changed the clean.sh, all right, I have saved it, and I'm about ready to put it here. But before we do that, let's launch a Pongcat listening session. All right, we will use the port that we defined in our reverse shell. Cool. Now let's try and put clean.sh here. Alright, says transfer is complete. So I guess we're now waiting for the cron job to run, and I guess we will have reversal sooner or later. Okay, this is taking some time. Alright, so I'm gonna pause the video and wait for our reversal to come back. Okay, I didn't need to pause the video. Here we go. Okay, perfectly. Let's exit. We don't need to be logged in as FTP anymore. Let's kill this pane to have the full screen at our disposal. And here we are. Let's see our session. Okay, so we have a reversal active session at this machine. So we are logged in as user nameless one. Okay, that's what hinted us previously, FTP, nameless one's FTP server. And if we press back here, then we can actually control that reversal. So Poncat is a really cool tool. You can autocomplete commands. You can press Control and C, and it won't break out of the shell like ncat, for example. It's a great tool that you definitely need to deploy. It's netcat on steroids, as it is described. It takes netcat and builds around it a whole C2 command and control framework. Okay, so you can do miracles with it. All right, especially at exams where you don't have access to Metasploit, this one can really help you upload and download files with peace of mind. You can do great stuff, all right? You can exit from sessions, all right, like here, not exit, background sessions. You can create listeners here, okay? You can create other listeners as well to catch other reversals. You can do great stuff. But for the time being, let's get back to our shell. And okay, let's see some basic stuff. Who am I? Of course, I'm nameless one. ID. Okay, we can see that we are in a bunch of groups as well. Now, sudo and LXD are interesting. Okay, and let's also launch our Metasploit framework here, because you'll see that we can do some interesting stuff with Metasploit as well. And well, for the time being, let's go to the temporary directory, which is okay, it's world writable, and in here we are going to upload our link script. Okay, seems our connection was a bit slow, but it was uploaded. Okay, let's get back. Okay, let's make this executable. Good, and now let's simply run it and let it do its stuff. Okay, so we're looking for this color here. Okay, it has picked something, sudo and LXD groups here. We should definitely look for them. Okay, so let's go here and say sudo group privilege escalation. Okay, yeah, it's here in interesting groups. Wills group, shadow group, this group. Think I think we might be part of this group or not. I don't know. I don't remember. Video group. So here you can see some very interesting things. We can be on the Docker group, which is actually container escaping privilege escalation. And all right, let's see if this is completed here. All right, it's still running. Now, while it finishes, let's go for one of my favorite modules, the web delivery. Okay, so now we are going to use this web delivery, okay, to try and get a interpreter shell in our machine. And the reason I'm doing this as a second step and I'm not setting up an interpreter listener firsthand is because I want to show you both ways. I want to show you how you can exploit this box with Metasploit and without Metasploit. So in this box we are going to run two privilege escalation methods, the one with Metasploit and the other without Metasploit. Okay, so let's set our serving host to our TryHackMe VPN address. Let's set our L host to the same address, and let's set L port to 45s. Okay, let's see here. All right, it is finished. Now let's see what kind of Python version we're running. So we're running Python 3. Cool. Let's clear our screen at Metasploit and run it. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this payload. Okay, we'll close this. Let's add 3 here in Python. Let's copy this and let's paste it to our PwnCat session. Okay, so by now we should be, all right, great. We should be getting an interpreter session which will help us to see the first privilege escalation vector. Okay, I think that this is the unintended vector. Probably it was added as the PwnKit kernel exploit was disclosed. That's something you'll find many times in machines. If they're old enough, you can definitely check them for kernel exploit, but the new rooms are usually patched unless their intended privilege escalation vector is one of these exploits. So let's press enter. Let's see our sessions. Okay, I'm not going to dive into that session. I'm going to try and upgrade it immediately. Okay. Right, it's sending our stage again. Oh, great. We are perfectly okay with this. So, all right, we have a solid session based on our operating system now, and okay, cool. Let's kill session 1 to release this port from being in use. Let's see if we have any jobs running. Okay, so even if we've killed the interpreter session, we'll have to kill this job as well if we want to release our port being in use. Okay, all right, let's try to interact with session 2 to make sure it's working fine. Get UID, we're nameless one, great. Okay, so first, since we have an interpreter session on the machine, we're going to look for kernel exploits and various other exploits. It's not just kernel exploits, it's also some usual misconfigurations. So let's set session to session 2. Okay, and let it run, see if it finds anything, if it suggests some way to root this box in an easy, nice and clean way. And okay, as it runs, let's inspect the results from limpage. Now we'll have to scroll up quite a bit. I always like to check the results from top to bottom. Okay, this here is also red yellow. We should check it perhaps, but let's get up. Okay, all right, the pseudo group is also highlighted here, pseudo in the LXD here. Okay, good. All right, now let's stay here a bit. Now, as you see here, it looks for cron jobs, okay, and our guess was right. So it's running this script at intervals, try to find some things and delete them. That's also the command we use to get the initial access to the box, the script actually, not the command. Account info, yeah, all right. Let's see if this picked something else. Okay, probably vulnerable to this one, CVE. We should probably check it. Metasploit is a good way to do that, but we can also do it manually. And all right, here is the top. And all right, this one is interesting. The pseudo group that we're in is interesting, and the LXD is also quite interesting. Now, pseudo could be a choice. All right, let's check pseudo group. Okay. All right, so it says that the sudo or admin or will group is used to control access to su or sudo commands. Okay. Now the problem here, all right, this is the admin group. The problem here is that let's check this out here. Okay. So here it says that this user is also part of the sudo group. Okay, and if we type sudo su, we can try and root as the root user. But the problem here is that we don't know nameless one's password. Okay, so all right, let's try to escalate our privileges with sudo, and let's keep our mind to this as well, the LXD. Okay, so if I try, and let's clear the screen, if I try to sudo su here, it will ask for the password for nameless one. Now we could say anonymous perhaps. Okay, no, password, I don't know, something, not again valid. So we don't know our password, and we cannot utilize the fact that we belong to the sudo group to escalate our privileges. So my guess is that LXD, and we can see here, privilege escalation, hacking articles, the first article is a great, totally fantastic resource to exploit this thing. Okay. It has all kind of theory here. It tells you how to set up your lab, all right? And then it tells you how to escalate your privileges. Okay, so here, let's see what we can do. So it says that privilege escalation, it's sort of a Docker escape privilege escalation, okay? So it requires the access to a local account that we already have. He says we can choose to SSH, but we have a reverse shell. And it says here that we have to create an image for LXD and perform these actions here. Okay, so we have to download and build Alpine in our local machine through the Git repository. We can build it using the build Alpine script. It will give us an Alpine image as a compressed file, and then we have to transfer it to the target machine. Okay, so the target machine, here we have to take some other actions. We have to download this build Alpine image. We have to import it. It has all steps here, and we have to initialize the image inside a new container and mount the container inside the root directory. Okay, so you can use this right here, a Git repository to, I'm sorry, it's this right here, Git repository to download the Alpine builder. Then you change to the directory here, you run this build Alpine script, and the build, the image actually will be built automatically. Okay, and we can serve it with the Python server and use wget or curl or any other tool to transfer it to the target machine. Now here let's head back. All right, okay, let's clear our workspace here. All right, here I've already completed the first steps. As you can see, I've downloaded the GitHub repository, and if we cd in here, I've already run the build Alpine script, and I've created this this scanzip file. Okay, and now I have to transfer it to my machine, but instead of setting up a Python server and using curl or wget, we're simply going to utilize the power of Tomcat. So we're going to lcd change the local directory to lxd Alpine builder. All right, I'm using my local Tomcat shell, okay, right here. So right now I'm not on the target machine. I've backgrounded it. All right, and we can try to upload Alpine, and it will upload in the temporary directory because that's where we were before we background the shell. Okay, let's press enter. That might take a while, I don't know. Right, although the file is not large, okay, it's just 3.8 megabytes, but you know, VPN's connections are not designed to transfer huge files, especially these ones, okay, because it's simply emulations. So we're going to have to wait a bit here. Okay, we're near it. And okay, cool, it has uploaded. It took us nearly a minute, but never mind. Let's get back to our reverse shell, and yeah, it's right here. Okay, so right now we'll have to start building this image to LXD. All right, so let's paste that here. Okay, let's paste those commands here. All right, Alpine 3.17. Now I didn't copy and paste all the commands because I'm using a different version of Alpine here. It's a more recent version. Okay, and I'm going to use the alias of test to this. Okay, all right, our image has been imported successfully. We can see the fingerprint here. Now the next thing is to verify that it was important. So let's check all the LXC images. Okay, here we go. We have it right here. It's successfully imported. Okay, so right now we'll want to use this right here. Okay, we need to initiate our image. Okay, and it says here ignite. Now I'm going to use another name for this. Let's do this. All right, so I'm going to say LXCinit test, the alias I used before, and pon All right, that's definitely a good name. And it is thrown as an error. Okay, it says no storage pool found. Please create a new storage pool. Okay, so if we go up here, we can see that we'll have to, kind of follow the lab build instructions. Now, our user is part of the LXD group, but LXD has not been yet initialized. Okay, so here we'll have to initialize LXD, and it has all the way to do it here. So it says during initialization it will ask for certain options, and we can press enter to use the default values of everything, and but in the storage backend we have to choose dir instead of ZFS. So let's press LXD init. Okay, we can press enter, enter, enter. Now here is where we have to say dir. Okay, okay, enter, 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 sadman. Okay, so I guess LXD is now successfully initiated. Okay, so let's see. Okay, our image is still there. Let's try to initiate this test image here. All right, so pawn is now successfully created. Cool. Let's go back here and let's try the other commands as well. So right now we are going to utilize this command. Okay, so we'll add ignite pawn. So let's press enter here. So what we're trying to do is mount the host device into this MNT root part of the container. Okay, so my device was added to pawn. Okay, cool. Let's start pawn now. He starts ignite. I'm going to start pawn. Okay, and last step, let's execute the pawn bin sh. Okay, and boom. Now we have gotten a different kind of shell. All right, we'll need to delete the gibberish here. Let's see who we are. We are root. Perfectly. Now according to the instructions, we should head to MNT root, and we'll be able to see the flag here, but what we want to do is this. All right, we're not going, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're not going to deal with this as a CDF. So let's go to MNT and let's check here. Okay, so we see a root directory. Okay, if you hear meows, it's my cat. Okay, so let's change to root, and okay, cool. So this whole thing is the root directory of our host machine, of the initial host machine. So we will okay, I'm sorry, no. Okay, so let's go to root here and let's check here. So cool, we have the root.txt file here. Okay, but what's of more interest to us is this. All right, so let's change to SSH. Okay, let's see what's in here, and we can see we have authorized keys here. So in order to gain persistence with an SSH shell, which is the most stable of all, we are going to do the following, okay? We are going to create an SSH key with SSH keygen. I'm gonna name it anon. I'm not going to use a passphrase, all right? Let's cat anon.pub. Let's grab this public key. Okay. Let's go and add this to our authorized keys file. Now we're not going to use nano or VAM because our shell is not stable. Okay, let's see if it was added successfully. It is. So right now we can, I think we can SSH to our machine as root. Okay, so one last thing is to change the anon, the private key, to 600, and let's try to SSH as root to our machine using our private key. All right, let's say yes. And boom, we have root access right here with an SSH session. So we would go here and click exit, all right. So we have successfully gained root access to this machine. So even if this whole thing stops, so let's say LXD help, okay. So let's see, if we say LXD shutdown, okay, and so LXD is now shut down. We need to initiate it again, probably, but I think we can still have access. Yeah, okay, so I think, all right, let's exit. I'm sorry I did it in the wrong, all right, LXD shutdown, okay. Okay, cool. Well, let's see if we can delete the Alpine image that we have imported, okay. So let's see LXC image list, if it's still there. Okay, so LXC image, perhaps, let's see. Okay, so LXC image lit test, LXC image list. Okay, so we've deleted this image here. Okay, so, and let's say LXD shut down one more time. Okay, cool. Now, if we've done everything right, we'll still be able to access this box as root because we have inserted, we have injected our public key in there. Okay, so we've abused this misconfiguration with our user being, our low privilege user being a part of the LXD group. All right, we have followed the instructions. We have injected our SSH public key to the root's authorized hosts, and then we have reversed our steps. Okay, we have deleted the Alpine image, so everything should probably look normal to the untrained eye, but we still have root access to the machine. Now here we can do various stuff. We can, I don't know, we could probably change the root password and lock the owner of the server completely out of there. We can do various interesting things. But another thing, well, this was the add-on for Linux, but I don't think it will be of any use to us. But let's quickly check the results. Okay, yeah, nothing interesting here. So let's clear this window as well. Now we have rooted this machine the traditional way, the intended way, but if you remember, we had also set up a local exploit suggester, okay? And it says here that this one is vulnerable to PwnKit here, okay? So let's check if it actually is. We'll use this here. Let's see the options. Let's set our session 2, set lhost to our TryHackMe VPN, and set lport to 45s. Let's try to exploit it. Okay, let's see if that works. It might take a minute. It might not work at all, of course. Okay, the target is vulnerable. All right, setting stage. This is a great message. It indicates that 99% you are going to get a reverse shell that you desire so much, but let's just wait for it. Okay. Now, the only reason I want to do this is to show you some post-exploitation tricks. Okay, for example, establishing persistence. Now, the stage is quite large, that's why it takes a lot of time, but we have the metaverse shell, get UID, we are root perfectly. Let's background this session. Okay, let's clear it. And let's search for some persistence. Okay, let's I don't know, we can use this Chrome persistence. Okay, this sounds cool. All right, Chrome persistence, why not? So use this, or we could say use for. All right, let's show the options. Set session 3 because okay, cool. So use it to run cron or cron tab as great, and let's run it and see. All right, so let's see the info. So it says this module will create a cron or cron tab entry to execute a payload. This module includes the ability to automatically clean up those entries to prevent multiple executions. Okay, so let's run it and see what it does. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let's see what kind of payloads are available. So we are going to choose the, I don't know, reverse Python payload. Okay, set payload. All right, let's set this payload since Python is deployed in the machine. So let's set our lhost to our VPN address. Let's set lport to 49s. Okay, bin bash, the shell we want to use. Okay, we'll change it to ZSH. Let's try to run. Okay. All right, this might not work. Okay, because it says that session may not be compatible with this module. Yeah, okay, let's see something else. Let's see our sessions. Okay. Let's see this. Get UID. All right, let's background it. what if we try to upgrade this session as well? All right. Okay, so it would be best if we killed second session and then try to upgrade session 3. Okay. Oh, let's see here. All right. Now that might work right here. Okay, so let's interact with session 4 now. Get UID, root, great, and let's search for persistence. Again, let's try and use this, use 4. All right, set session 4 this time. Let's try to run it one more time. Okay, again, it says it may not be compatible with this module. Okay, so let's search for something else. What can we do here? Let's see if we can use this one. Okay, so let's set our session to 4. Set lhost to our VPN machine. Set lport 4 nines, and let's try to run it. Okay, let's try this. All right, we've completed the box. We just mess around a bit with some post-exploitation modules because it's always fun to create some backdoors to the machine. Okay, so the backdoor is uploaded here. Okay, let's check this with our other shell, our other root shell. Okay, so ls.sal. Okay, so this right here is our backdoor. Okay, it's the backdoor that we have created, and you can see what it is. It's an ASCII text. It's probably a bit obfuscated. So if we go again to our interpreter, to Metasploit, we can see what this module does. So it will run a payload when the packet manager is used. Okay. All right. So we'll have to set up our own handler. If you've watched other videos, you will probably remember that when injecting services for persistence, a listener will be automatically set up. So this one creates a pre-invoked hook for APT, Advanced Packaging Tools. Okay, and it's a way of persisting. There are other interesting modules as well. So that is it with this box. I think it was a fun box. It was an interesting one. We found 2 ways to obtain root access. Now the intended way is something that you should really put in your notes. So when you see LXD, a red group that includes the user you have access to, it should be a red flag. Okay, and it was generally a fun box to play. You can learn a lot of stuff, and it's the real good stuff of TryHackMe that you definitely want to play, either to learn, have fun, or both. So thanks for watching. I hope this video was not tiresome, and I hope you learned something. Till next time.